Hey everybody, so today, if you watch any of these videos, I encourage you to watch all of them. A lot of these details tie together later and give context to a specific event that has rocked me to my core for the rest of my life. But a lot of it starts early on in these other missions, and it's a thread that continues through. So kids, I hope you're watching all of these, and for anybody else in the world who's watching these, I encourage you to watch all of them. Around the base, we obviously had guard towers. There were huge concrete buildings, just like any guard tower you imagine in a movie. They were supposed to be two-person towers. For the most part, early on, it was manned by 2 Americans. Eventually, we got some Turkish soldiers, and we had 1 American, 1 Turk, which was difficult because of the language barrier. Watching sand move for 8 hours with somebody you can communicate with is bad enough. Watching sand blow around for 8 hours with somebody that doesn't speak your language is rough. But yeah, there's that. So my tour in Iraq was significant because it was the first Iraqi democratic election. Part of my mission was to set up security and perimeters for the election so it could go off without any too much conflict. But yeah, it was the very first ever democratic election in Iraq, in the city of Wespool. So part of our mission early on was to set up barricades and perimeters around all the significant buildings and election points, poll stations. So we had the big concrete barriers. We had tons of concertina wire, which I'm pretty sure I didn't have a single uniform that didn't look like it went through a paper shredder. That stuff was a mess to deal with. So I can't imagine trying to be a person without gloves and equipment trying to get through that stuff, because it was nasty. Dirt berms. So we had a lot of earth moving equipment, building up dirt barriers, and we had concrete barriers, and we had concertina wire to make sure that everybody had to go through certain checkpoints, and there was no way that anybody could get through and cause ruckus. There was a mission where I was supposed to go on a convoy mission with another company. I was asked to do that because of experience with being a gunner. They needed additional security, but because we didn't have the up armored Hummers, brass decided to scrub the mission. That wasn't safe for us to be the security, so the convoy went without the additional security, which says a lot about how bad our equipment was at that point. It gets better, but there for a while it was pretty rough. That they said it wasn't even safe for us to be security for somebody else. The funny part of that is we actually had the up armored kits waiting for us in a warehouse somewhere on base, and we were waiting for authorization to install it. Just red tape. You know, it was sitting there ready for us to use. You know, somebody had to sign a signature to say we can use it, which we eventually did, but right now we didn't. Again, I'm trying to do this in as much chronological order as I can. There was a mission that I was not on where one of the soldiers was attached to us, and again, a lot of this ties together. So it wasn't just our unit, we had attached units because we were understaffed, and one of the attached soldiers was shot in an ambush on a mission. He was taken to the hospital and died on the way to the hospital. So because somebody high up wanted a promotion, he put all of our lives in danger, and somebody else died because he wanted another pin on his shoulder. I'm just saying the facts, not necessarily judging. These are just the facts of what happened. During the elections, we trained some of the Kurdish soldiers to man our guard towers so we have as many boots on the ground for the election as possible. It's more important to have Americans out there than anybody else, so we had the Kurdish soldiers man the guard towers around our base while we all manned the election polls. This is all, I'm still in January, folks. Like, I've had 2 or 3 videos now, and we're still in the month of January. There was a ton of rain. We had to dig trenches to keep the rain flow from flooding our base. The rainy season, because we're up in a higher elevation of Iraq in Mosul, so we got more precipitation than other parts of Iraq. But the rain season was just for the month of January. Once that was over, we wouldn't see another drop until we left. The elections didn't go off without a hitch, but they went better than everybody expected. So, you know, politicians and the high brass were happy about that. There was a mission where I volunteered to go out on a mission to set up a traffic control point. Again, just to make sure that everybody went through certain checkpoints and there wasn't any way they could just get around and do what they want. So there's a 6-lane highway I volunteered to help with. We left at 6 a.m. and we didn't return home we didn't leave until 3 p.m. That was a long freaking day. On our, so we still didn't have our good Hummers with a good armor, so we were traveling with another unit's Striker vehicles, which in this video I'll try to show pictures of what a Striker looks like, but they are badass. So we were traveling with those. During this long mission, we took fire from about 300 meters away. Same time we took fire, there was about 7 vehicles that drove away at the same time from the same general area. So nobody returned fire because the rules of engagement are very specific. The lives of the civilians, women and children, took precedence over anything else. And if we didn't have a direct point of contact that we knew, hey, there's a shooter, fly him up, nobody fired because we didn't want to risk anybody else getting injured. That was a universal rule of engagement among all units. Some units didn't follow that as specifically as they were supposed to, but that was the rule. So took fire, nobody fired back because everybody was scrambling around that area. We got home without any injuries. They didn't really hit anything. They just were taking pot shots to protest. Next day, we did a similar job at the local high school. Whatever unit was tasked with getting all the materials there for us ahead of time, they sucked bad, and we had almost nothing that we were supposed to have. So we had to improvise with what was available to set up the checkpoints and secure the building. We were supposed to be training the Iraqi soldiers how to do what we were doing, but without the proper equipment, it was really hard to do that. The brass said they were impressed with how we did with such limited materials. Again, this is a high school. Most of the kids stayed away from us. They know better until one soldier decided to start throwing food and candy at them, which these kids are starved. They see us throwing candy at them and food or whatever, and they started rushing us. I did my best to keep them at bay, a safe, reasonable distance, without shooting at them. Just, hey, point my gun at them, like, get out of here. So I'm pretty pissed that somebody jeopardized these kids' lives and our lives trying to just throw candy at them like it's a parade. I'll talk about more of that later in another video, but we're not there to feed these kids. We're there to secure a mission. Yeah, so that happened. At some point I had a twisted ankle, and I complained about it a lot in my letters for a while. Fortunately, I was mounted most of the time in the turret position, so I didn't have to walk on it. But it must have hurt pretty bad as I whined about it a lot in my letters home. So the strikers, okay. This is going to be one of the more interesting stories. This is a mission I volunteered for. We're leaving the high school. I was supposed to be in the second striker vehicle in the convoy, but somehow I ended up getting put in the first one. I don't really remember why. I didn't put it in my letters. It said that I was supposed to be in the second vehicle, but last second it got put in the first one. On the way home, there was an IED explosion. It was an unusually big one. It was meant for my vehicle, the first one, because it was dark or a delay in detonation. They missed, but they directly hit the second vehicle, the one I was supposed to be in. Everybody's ears were ringing. There was one soldier in my vehicle who suffered a concussion. But yeah, it raised our vehicle up off the ground, and we were a good 25 to 50 meters ahead, so it was a big explosion. It blew off two of the tires off the second vehicle, blew off the gunner's hatch, which actually was designed to do to maintain pressure in the vehicle. We stopped when an explosion hit to dismount. There was a huge cloud of smoke, and that's all we could see. And then the second vehicle blew out of there, out of the smoke like out of a movie. It was crazy to watch. Just big puff of smoke, and a very tattered vehicle with missing two wheels flew out of smoke. We hopped in and we left behind them, drive as fast as we could. Again, we did not return fire because of the rules of engagement. We did not have a point of contact, and so nobody fired. We rode home. On the ride home, that second vehicle in total lost 4 out of the 8 tires. It still managed to drive at 60 miles per hour on its road wheels. Those things really, there's a reason that they are badass. They took a licking and kept on ticking. The soldier that took a concussion returned the next day for duty, because that's what we do. We're not there to lick our wounds, we're there to do a job. And he was capable, so that's what he did. So that happened. The next day, we decided to build a new room off the side of our storage room for our platoon, just with spare wood and nails we found on base that we were going to use as a hangout. This is where I got the nickname the Mule, because the lumber yard was significantly far away from where we were building. I would walk down there. We didn't use our vehicles, so I walked down probably a mile to the lumber yard, put as much wood and 2x4s on each shoulder as I could, reach, and I would walk them back to the area where we were building, like a work meal. I went to chapel that weekend. I was not a big fan of the chaplain. I thought it was exceedingly weird. The thing about chaplains is they're supposed to represent all denominations, all religions. This particular chaplain used to consider himself a witch, and he said he discarded Christianity when he was doing spells, and he said that his spells never failed unless he tried to put them on a Christian, on a believer. And when he couldn't figure out why his spells on Christian believers didn't work, that's when he started deep diving into Christianity and found Christ. I think that's a whole lot of bullshit, but whatever. But he was weird. But his assistant, his chaplain's assistant, was Specialist Tyler Egley, who was actually from Indiana and was a student at Grace College, where I went briefly and was intending to return to Grace College after my deployment. So he and I hit it off and became friends. And actually, we ended up being roommates when we returned to the States. I might talk about Egley throughout these videos. Great guy. I couldn't say enough great things about him. Truly amazing person. Loved him to death. After these missions where we got blown up, the camp was put on a no-roll status. which means nobody could leave the wire, so that other units could perform surveillance of the area and make sure it was all secure. But I was put on standby to roll out at any moment for additional security for any of these missions. Mail was periodically held for a while. That's not uncommon. So we would go long times without any mail and then get a whole shit ton all at once. Letters home would get sent out of sequence, so it was crazy. But yeah, I would get like multiple care packages at once. My mom and dad were great at sending care packages. I also got some from churches and schools that wrote letters and sent cookies and awesome stuff. That was really cool. I have a file in my filing cabinet of cute little letters that some, I think, second graders mailed to us, and I kept them. So I guess that's about all my notes for today. Again, I appreciate everybody watching this that aren't my family. Kids, I do hope you're watching this, because when you know who I am and who I was, everybody watching this, this partially just for me therapeutically too, so I can process through some of these things. Again, this is starting to build up to more eventful missions, and a lot of these tie together. So take note of certain things I say, specifically about the rules of engagement, my view of my job as the security and to keep everybody safe. I took that extremely seriously. There was a reason why I was asked to do missions I wasn't originally tasked to, but people felt more secure with me than other people. So it's significant. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you for watching. More to come later. Thank you. Have a good day.